Hey everyone, Elaine with Okcoin here. I have Justin Wu with us today, who's going to talk with us a bit about DeFi earning, staking, yield farming. We've spoken with Justin before, and he had a lot of really great insight on kind of what it means for the DeFi ecosystem to grow. And so we're excited to have him back today as we talk through the different protocols and talk about Okcoin Earn and identify kind of the product fit that we are looking to achieve with our new Earn product. Hey Justin, how are you?
Hey, doing good. Thanks for having me here, Elaine.
Of course, so happy to have you back. Um, so why don't we get started a bit and pick up where we last talked, or when we last talked, which was kind of where DeFi is going and kind of the best ways to get into DeFi. Um, I think to give everyone a little bit of recap when we talk about DeFi and proof of stake, kind of what exactly are we talking about, right? Like what is proof of stake versus proof of work, and how does kind of staking crypto to earn work? Kind of what is the concept behind that?
Definitely. So, when people are thinking of DeFi and the first kind of like use case and why DeFi became so popular and why it's booming right now is they're thinking about these DeFi farming or DeFi staking and DeFi yields that they can generate essentially APY for staking or locking up their tokens or liquidity on these DeFi farms. And so, we've seen these different projects come and go and offering crazy APY and crazy rates out there. And it's been an interesting segue for us to actually have a real use case and value further for the different tokens and token projects that we have, or even the tokens that we're just hodling and holding on to. Because we can all essentially provide either liquidity or for staking with a token in a project out there, we're essentially helping the network through validating transactions and moving away from this old school proof of work system where you have to get the GPUs and miners and hardware just to help run the network. And so that's where we kind of see the future of both protocols and then just like DeFi in general. The crypto industry is gravitating towards essentially cutting out the middleman of all these different financial transactions by allowing people to bring in their own liquidity to these networks.
Absolutely. So why would someone want to stake or kind of bring in that own liquidity rather than just trading it, right? Like what's the value of, me staking my assets?
Yeah, so if you think about the old proof of work systems out there using hardware to mine coins, the way that proof of work consensus works is, the hardware miners are the ones validating all the transactions, and furthermore too, we see them also getting the miners also get the fees, whether it be from the ETH gas fees to help support and essentially run the network. But we're seeing now with like ETH 2.0 coming, Cardano, Polkadot, and the next generation is to move away from that. Proof of work is also energy intensive. It's very wasteful for the planet and energy worldwide. And also too, it kind of rewards, if you think about it, it rewards people that just have money to buy hardware and take and run the network. Whereas now we're thinking like proof of stake specifically is allowing anybody to take their stacks of certain token or coins and essentially staking and locking it up to turn into a node or contribute to a node to help validate those transactions as well too. So and then the rewards instead of like the ETH mining rewards from the hardware or Bitcoin mining rewards being paid out to the hardware miners, it's the same thing with proof of stakers is you also get the rewards too for helping stake and validate transactions within the network as well too. So that's where kind of like proof of stake comes in, and that's how like the coins are essentially paid out is through kind of the validation and fees provided by the network itself. But when it comes to like DeFi now, we're talking about liquidity farming or liquidity provisions. If you're thinking about creating a pool of liquidity for a loan or credit, DeFi credit, insurance or any assets, you're getting essentially what you are is you're loaning out your liquidity and you're getting rewarded based on there's so many different strategies on how some of these DeFi farms and yields produce these APY and rates, and they're not always stable, but you could still earn a good rate depending on that time and that token to help provide liquidity into those networks too. So yeah, it just gets me excited in that there's just actual use case. Even if you're just hodling your favorite coins, you could just put it to work essentially for the network and get rewarded and actually get paid out back in the tokens or respective tokens within that protocol.
Yeah, and I think it's really kind of, the detail and kind of the philosophy behind it, I think is really helpful to know. But I think at a top level, it very much is like what you said, right? It's kind of a new use case for crypto that we've seen, that basically brings in the ideals of crypto, right? Decentralization, self-sovereignty, and it brings it into quote unquote traditional finance, or maybe it brings traditional finance into kind of a new era, right? But proof of stake, some could argue is kind of democratizing finance, right? Because you are individually allowed and enabled to earn, and you have more control over how you do that, right?
Yeah, you essentially are your own bank at this point. If you think about your own, you are providing liquidity like another bank would, except you're doing it pulled together, and there's no middle organization to prevent others to be able to loan and transact or get the transactions that they need. And I think that that's a cool thing if we can, it just helps a lot of transactions and let people do what they want to do in different ways. If they want to loan for a trade, they can do so. If they want to loan for payments, they could do it if they put up their collateral, and they don't have to go to a bank. Because if you think about it in the future, why DeFi is really disrupting it and just staking in general is you don't, a lot of the world doesn't have a credit card system. There's a lot of financial systems are kind of broken, and if we can kind of replace that with code and just like the collective network itself, I think it's amazing as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think kind of the point of like being your own bank or stuff like that, I think is really interesting. And I think the most intriguing thing about DeFi lately has been the APYs, right? I think we're seeing, compared to like mainstream, we're seeing much higher APYs. You touched on this a little bit before based on how that yield and that APY is set, but can you give us a little bit more information on kind of what determines the yield? Obviously, it's different across different protocols, and
Yeah.
kind of how people should be like looking at it and building their own strategies around it.
Yeah, so there's staking, and then there's DeFi farming, DeFi staking. So just like the traditional staking with proof of stake systems, it is based on like the rewards or the rewards on validating or I guess participating in hosting a node on the network. There's a certain distribution that they pay out back to the token holders or the stakers, I should say, built into it. Same thing with like the mining rewards as well too. So each protocol probably has their own different rules, their own different ways to distribute it. Some of them do different airdrops. Some of them change their rates as well too. It really depends. And if you really want to look into that, you can take a look at staking rewards websites out there to kind of help you identify what are the different yields that are out there. So that's like on the protocol level. I think that there's different rewards based on whatever rules, or if it's an inflationary type of token that's just kind of like Ethereum that's just printing more, then there's a calculation that they have to it. But it's also, there's other factors based on like how many stakers are there in general that could also degrade the APR, APY as well in terms of participation. When it comes to DeFi, though, DeFi farming and DeFi yields, again, there's so many different strategies on how some of these tokens are providing the APY. But the very like basics of like the core of some of the farms out there is that you're essentially providing liquidity, and somebody is going to either trade on a swap, and you get some of the fees. So that fees flows back into the liquidity providers that's participating part of that swap or exchange or pool. And other ways is just pretty much just like the fees associated with like taking out a loan and paying interest back to the network. That network is then paying back the liquidity providers as an incentives to run. And I'm sure the network or the DeFi protocol itself is taking their own cut as well too, depending on what it is, to facilitate those transactions.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think that's probably where kind of the governance assets are really important, right? Like you said, at a protocol layer, like that's how they, that's how kind of the yield or like kind of the philosophy around APY generation is, that's where it's done. So I think, understanding these governance assets and the governance protocols, and kind of I guess the policies actually, are really important, right?
yeah, definitely. And like it's each of them, each of these different DeFi protocols will have their own way of conducting it. And some of them are built on top of other networks. It becomes like this cascaded of DeFi built on top of another DeFi, and it is a little bit house of cards sometimes on some of the projects. But we're still super early on this phase right now in terms of experimentation. And yeah, APY rates and APR rates don't always hold per se, but you can still make a good amount back based on what you are providing. But just you just have to understand how the network works and what the risks are as well too.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So, I think in the last, oh God, probably like I don't know, 8, 9 months, right? We've seen like an explosion of different protocols and kind of earning opportunities, right? Can you show us a bit, kind of which protocols or platforms that you use and kind of why you do it, and how kind of how you consider these different assets?
Yeah, so definitely there's a lot of different platforms out there like Sushi Swap, or if you go to like Harvest Finance as well. There's a lot of different things you could do on these platforms. For example, you could provide liquidity for this pool here and then get 18% rate. This is 178 APY as well too. You can see like the deposit amounts as well too. But yeah, like I participate both in Sushi Swap and Harvest as well too. But like the challenges as of late is that Ethereum has been having a high gas for just any transactions in general. And so if you're going into these platforms and you want to just, let's say, like stake, it's going to just take a lot of gas. Or if you just want to even just like buy into this transaction to first even just provide liquidity, you're going to have to go and confirm the swap right here. And yeah, it's like $20 just to do the swap first. And then I have to do another probably like two actions once I provide the liquidity, which will also cost another like 20 to $40 for that move. And then I have to then lock up that liquidity for one more stage at the staking, or just like liquidity provision stage. And so like in the end, like so far, and gas is relatively low right now in terms of like $20
Yeah, I was gonna
for.
say $20 to $40. What?
But we're talking about low. Are we talking about like, is this JP Morgan Chase low, or is this Ethereum low? Like this is actually more than a bank. And we're
Yeah.
talking about DeFi and DeFi banks. We're like, yeah, this I guess is the cost of decentralization in a way. But it's just the challenge with that though is that if I'm paying $100 just to like provide liquidity for that, then I have to then calculate on the APY how long that will take me to even just get back zero sum of the yield back to how much I paid in just gas. And then you also have to calculate it on the way back out to you as well too, right? Like when you're trying to pull out liquidity or even harvest the rewards, those are all gas moves as well too. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's as you can see, like $20 is still, that's actually relatively cheap for the swap there. But that's just for like just the swap move, and then you just compound
Yeah.
it by all the other moves that we have to do. It just it starts adding on.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I would say is, the gas fees definitely start impacting your strategy, right? In terms of like what you're actually using these different protocols for, like how you're using these different protocols. So, when I use like Sushi or Uni, right, instead of doing like smaller batches, I just kind of batch them all together, right? Because if I need to make the gas fee worthwhile, then it's just, the way I engage these protocols is just different, which is not necessarily a problem, right? I mean, it's
Mm-mm.
fine. Like it's, you can still do it. But I think, the fees are kind of getting expensive and it starts to actually really impact how you're using these different protocols and how they kind of blend into the rest of your strategy.
Yeah, and also too, like if you do want to like move pools fast for whatever reason, let's say like there's a promotional right here with the 1,000 APY rate based on Ret Bitcoin and I guess KBTC. I'm not sure what that is, but like I think that strategically wise to make the moves like across like these just jumping from assets to different pools, it's just not very fast because you have to go through exit out of those unstake and then go back in, and it's just you're bleeding. In my opinion, I don't want to look at how much I spent on the gas fees. I spent probably at least like $8,000 of on gas alone just
Are you
for doing all
serious?
my farm. Yeah,
Jeez.
I don't even know what the farm the eat the gas calculator. If we
God,
saw
imagine
like
what you
the
could do with the 8,000 right now, I'm sure.
yeah how much I spent on gas.
I know.
Anyways, you get the point though.
Yeah.
For that too.
I mean, is
So
there any way to like navigate around gas fees? Like, is there anything that you do?
so that's where like we're seeing the explosion of layer two projects come out, like Matic and a few other protocols out there. So that's kind of my workaround now too. In terms of like farming now, like I'm not really farming much of the ETH farms anymore at this current moment. Because of the fees, and right now I'm looking at farms on other upcoming like protocols and other places just because the ability what I'm doing now on the farming side is I want to jump from this pool to this pool or this pool and just like switch based on the rates or whatever it is, and I want to do it in a low cost and low cost way. Then that just makes the most sense for me as well. um, but also too, I think that when people forget too that the problem with like ETH farming is you don't really have the ability to compound as easily because you have to spend gas to harvest. And this APY rate could actually be even higher than it is if they have compounding built into it. And you just keep compounding your rewards back into your LP. Yeah, you can't do that currently with ETH as effectively. Well, in this case, I guess with Harvest, they have some farms that have auto compounding built into it too. So that's great. But not every farm out there like Sushi doesn't allow you to do that, and more traditional farms as well too. I think auto compounding is going to be huge, and I think that's what's also going to help continue with we're going to get into that phase later on as well.
Yeah. We're looking at auto compounding too. I think it is really interesting, and it's it would be really cool to see how kind of like centralized exchanges can support that type of innovation as well.
Yeah,
Um,
or just like even the act of like if you can still claim your rewards and then just reinsert it back in with like little fees or lesser fees than what ETH is, and then just like I'm going on like Cosmos and they have a function to allow you to reinvest. You have to do it manually, but at least there's just an easier way to compound it yourself. I think that's still like auto compound would be like the next best step, but I'm also happy with just like seeing stuff, the ability to just do it manually too, and just check in once a day or twice a day, especially if there's like little gas fees or lesser fees to do so. So just having the option, I think that's just been always been now part of my strategy, thinking like, okay, depending on the protocol, being able to just like claim rewards and then just like put it back into my stake or farm.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that would be really cool. So, I think we actually, for the viewers out there, we actually asked Justin to review our earn product, right? Clearly, as you've seen, he's really familiar with the different protocols out there. He has a strategy. We wanted to see if our earn product kind of like stands up to the test, if it's something that, people, and kind of like see how it fits into different people's kind of portfolio strategies and trading strategies. So, yeah, Justin, like tell us a bit about how kind of your experience with our product. Please be honest. Obviously, we're always trying to improve. So if you say it's perfect, then I'll be
Yeah.
upset. But let us know like what you thought about it. Like, how does it fit into your overall strategy?
Yeah, so it's just like I guess with Okcoin and the Earn product too. I'm just thinking about like the different protocols or projects out there. Uh, especially for like Stacks. Stacks is a brand new project, and there are in order to like even like Stacks or like Polkadot and a few other projects out there, it is for like the everyday user to go out and kind of like stake or participate in some of these like these farms. There's a lot of more setup that you have to do on your own wallet and others to kind of get that going too. So for me, when I was like kind of playing around with the Earn product, of course, Stacks is not a DeFi product, but it allows you to actually get a return and paid back in Bitcoin. I think this is like the first protocol that allows you to do so. So I'm still doing a lot more research for it, but it's pretty cool that you're getting paid back 15% back in BTC, and then if BTC just skyrockets or just like doubles, then this actually ends up actually letting you stack more I guess more dollars or more satoshis in this case. So this APY rate can actually explode even further. And then if you add in like compounding as well too, or like every 14 days it seems that you can just redeposit back in and it grows, and then also too Bitcoin just grows too. It's been cool to participate in that as well too. So yeah, I got to play around with it, just kind of like jumping in and out of the Earn kind of product as well too. But Stacks, has their own rules where I guess it's like every 14-day cycle to get involved with that. And you see that I was able to see that there's like no fee currently, which I don't know how you guys are doing no fees on staking. I'm not complaining for that currently, and just kind of just going into deposit and yeah, just see it kind of, I guess once the stacks are coming in, just have it pile up in there as well too.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I can tell you why it's no fees. I think that that's where you see kind of us leaning into the benefit of centralized exchanges, right? So the reason why it's no fees is one, we reduce the fees by batching them, right? So all the transactions on our platform that happen with stacking, we batch them. And then because we think it's a really cool product and we want to make sure that we're providing access to DeFi, we kind of see it as our responsibility. So then we eat the cost. And so kind of that was something that was pretty much like a foundational part of our Earn product. We wanted to make sure that it was accessible, both in terms of ease of use, but also that it wasn't expensive, right? Like, what's the use of having decentralized finance if it's like too expensive to use, right? Kind of like defeats the purpose. So I think that part is something that personally is what I'm most proud of for our Earn product, that we kind of made that decision to do that.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense too. And again, like this is just even seeing again, this beats your bank account with just USDC. That's always I tell like anybody that's just getting into kind of like DeFi or crypto in general. Why are you having your money sit in your bank and you're praying for like a 1% at most APY? This is like the easiest use case for anybody that's kind of like new or that's been following me, kind of like understanding like what the value proposition of DeFi is. You don't have to get into you don't understand what stacks is, and you don't want BTC exposure, or you want to convert just like your current checking account, whatever extra cash to sit instead of just sitting there in your account. You can just get 9% APY rate as well too. So yeah, I guess I had a question too. Is like, what is this? This is the normal rate what Compound is providing, and the bonus is what you guys are providing, or I guess what is the bonus as well too?
The bonus.
Yeah, bonus. I
Oh,
guess it's just from you guys as well too, like the bonus APY.
that's a really good question. I'm gonna have to check in with my product team. My understanding is that we do our best to reflect the APYs kind of like on the protocol.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's probably going to be like a little bit of fluctuation in the actual like rate, just like slight percentage, just based on how we've integrated it. Um,
Got it.
oh, sorry. I wasn't seeing kind of it clearly. It's how the protocol works. So I think what you're seeing is it's the APY on the actual like stable asset, and then you also, because of how the protocols are structured, you get like comp, right? So
Oh,
like
okay. Got
you
it.
get
Got
you
it.
get the rate on the like in the stable asset that you stake, and then you also get the protocol's bonus or reward token. Um,
Very cool.
So yeah, sorry, yeah, I misspoke, but yes, that's kind of, so the rate is calculated as a combination of those two assets, because that's how you earn it on the protocols.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. So flexible terms. So with flexible terms, I guess you're am I able to just jump in and out for when it says flexible, and then versus like 14 days. This has to be locked up for 14 days, right?
Yeah, so those are
Okay.
all based entirely on how the protocols function. So I think, Stacks is a different type of protocol compared to the protocols like Urine and Compound that we're using, right? And so those are like more kind of like traditional or like native DeFi, which means that you can like move in and out of the pools really easily and like whenever you want. Stacking is unique, like kind of other traditional proof of stake networks, where you have a required period of staking. So I think maybe Stacks is approximately 2 weeks, depending on Bitcoin blocks, like block time. I think maybe DOT's like 21 or 28 days. And so different protocols have different requirements on how long you actually have to stake the asset per cycle.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, so far it's been great. I'd say like in terms of feedback, definitely love to see more protocols and more coins and offerings come up. I'd say like the more you guys have, I think yeah, look forward to more ways to stake and launch as well too.
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Obviously, if you have feedback, feel free to let me know. We're
Yeah,
always, like I said, we're always looking to improve our product, and the earn feature is something that we really want to make sure is useful to people of all like varying degrees of crypto usage.
yeah, I'll continue to play around with it, and yeah, if I run into anything else, definitely let you know. Yeah, just playing around with like canceling things, so it'll just be a couple minutes to get back the die, but yeah, it seems pretty straightforward so far. Yeah, just looking forward to seeing how the stacks or BTC, I should say, just come back and enter back into the account.
Yeah, totally. That's Stacks is definitely a really interesting asset. And I'm glad that we were kind of the first and maybe still the only, not quite sure. I know that a lot of our peers are getting able to integrate that, but we really pushed to make sure that we could provide that because we identified it as something that's super unique, and brings a lot of value back to users, right? Like if Bitcoin increases in price, then you're like double, triple earning, right? So it's been good.
Definitely, definitely.
Cool. Well, any last comments on either like kind of how you think about your earning strategies or how you feel like you might be using OKCoin Earn to further your overall kind of portfolio management?
Yeah, for me, I'm always just like looking at, I guess, yeah, like Stacks is definitely a project that I've been looking at as well too. So like, yeah, there hasn't been a lot of options or ways to like easily stake currently. So I think that's cool. If there's like upcoming projects like Dot and a few other ones too that I know that technically like there's just a lot of barriers to even jump into and manage some of those as well too. I think that would be cool. So definitely be on the lookout for that, for staking and being involved with that. And yeah, like the DeFi offerings as well too. Yeah, I think just even like on the base layer of just like USDC, camping USDC plus like I guess comp payouts
Mhm.
too, has been pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think like I said, we're constantly looking to iterate the product. What that means is also adding new assets to the Earn product. And so that's definitely something that we're looking to continue. We hope to have new additions in the next couple of months, if not sooner. And so we're really excited to bring that to you guys in the near term.
Great, great.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Justin. So glad I got to chat with you again.
Likewise, likewise. Always happy to be on. And yeah, anybody that likes to chat DeFi, feel free to connect, and I'll be around on crypto Twitter.
Nice. Justin, where can people find you? What's the best place?
Oh yeah, I'd say like Twitter is probably like where I'm always hanging around. You can find me. I'm a hackapreneur, like hackathon entrepreneur.
Nice.
I always like to just build stuff, break things, and getting involved with the community. So feel free to tweet at me. I'll follow up with any comments and questions here, and I'll respond as well to you. I saw Will had the question about DeFi. Zach is also participating as well too. So feel free to send me a message. Always happy to connect and chat. But it's always a pleasure to be on here.
Yeah, thanks.